Well, I'm delighted to be here, and I really enjoyed the sessions yesterday. I lucked out that I was able to carve time out of my schedule to actually come to the workshop and listen to the talks yesterday. I apologise that I can't be here this afternoon. As Donna says, we have the Chancellor's benefactors here for the day, and I have to go and do some work with them. I am going to cut my presentation short because we are already behind, and I would ask the other speakers in this session if they are willing to just try to get to the main points that they want to make. Will she do it? Yes. So, as Donna said, I am the Pro-Vice-Chancellor at the university. I'm in charge of the museums and libraries and botanic garden, as well as running the university IT. So this topic is very central to the role that I have. And imagine having a job where walking through the museum, you can actually say you're working. Well, some of you can do that too. But for me, it was a delight. I thought I'd say a little bit. I keep looking at Dave's presentation, wondering why it's not showing up here. I thought I'd say a little bit about our museums and collections, just for those of you who are not familiar with Oxford. So in Oxford, we have 4 university museums. They are the Ashmolean, the Pitt Rivers Museum, the Museum of Natural History and the History of Science. We've also, of course, got the Bodleian Library, which you are likely to be familiar with, and the Botanic Garden, which has its own collections. There are other collections which are not actually part of the university collection. It becomes complicated then. The Bake collection is a marvellous collection of musical instruments. And the colleges also have fantastic collections. And one of the things that we're trying to do at the moment is to have a more joined up thinking around how we curate and care for these collections, and in particular what we can be doing digitally with the collections and museums, which falls very nicely into this agenda. Just say a little bit about the university museums. So there are a number of universities in the UK that have museums. And I don't mean to say anything negative about them, except that we have the best museums, and we welcome over 2 million visitors to these museums each year. We've got over 8.5 million artifacts in the museums. One of the key things for us is how many of those are actually digitized, and that varies enormously. Whether this is just the museum's collection and not the libraries. But the Ashmolean collection, only a few of the Ashmolean collection have been digitized, and for us that makes the digital world more difficult, and I'll come to that. But you can see these collections are used enormously, and not just by the university. One of the tensions for our museums is that they are also national museums, in the sense that they are funded nationally to be public, to engage with the public, to be accessible to school children, to anybody who comes in the door. So they do have this tension of being research focused for the museums, for the university, and then public focused. So contributing to the mission of the university, they're here to improve research capabilities, and of course that is ever more around digital research, enabling researchers to get to these assets in a digital context, whether they're here or whether they're elsewhere, enhancing the learning experience. So again, making these, we're doing a lot of teaching around using the object as part of that, but being able to have that in other forms is increasingly important. And for the university, supporting widening participation and broadening access activities. So this digital agenda falls into that, and we are only partially able to do it. What I was going to do here was actually give you a demonstration of Digital Bodleian, which went live just a month or so ago. And it is the collection of digital assets of the Bodleian. By Christmas there should be 1 million available. At the moment there's something like 250,000 available on the Digital Bodleian. And it's a fabulous site. I would absolutely suggest that you go and look at it. It has tools there for you to be able to make your own collections, to be able to annotate, to tag, to publicly or in groups do things. They have implemented the tool that the British Library have for being able to use these assets in a research environment. So it's an absolutely fabulous resource, but it is a resource in itself. So the collections are there and can be searched. And the demonstration that I wanted to show was searching for India in the collections and going through. And there's a particular game board that's there. And if you look at that, you can zoom into the very detail of the game board. It's a game of making your way to India to take the mail, which is from some other era, but it's an absolutely lovely artifact. And on the site, the high definition allows you to zoom right in. Now, yesterday we were hearing concerns about how do we protect the right to that. And the way that the Bodleian have done it is that if you then download that artifact, oops, oh, it's gone, my artifact, here we are. If you download that, this is what the artifact is, and on the site you're able to zoom into even the wrinkles in the paper. But if you download that, then of course what you get is a low quality version of it, and therefore you're protecting that right. And the Bodleian then do make those available through a license or through a payment. And I think that's one of the things that we need. I think we should not get hung up about the copyright and other issues, because there are solutions, and we shouldn't let that stop us from doing what we want to do in making these available both for research and for public use. And yesterday we did hear some concerns about that. We'll just head back. So one of the other examples I was going to talk about is the Pitt Rivers, where we have a lot of the collections have been digitised, but they're done in such a way that they have been curated as a collection in a digital form. And again, they're available, one can find them, but they are in particular silos, just as the Bodleian is, in a sense. And that's true of the Ashmolean collections, where we have some absolutely fabulous collections, and I would suggest you look at the Eastern art. I was going to show you all of these, but given the time, I'm not going to do that. Where, again, within the environment, the tools are there to be able to annotate them, to see them in detail, to research them, but they are in their particular silos. So just skipping through. One of the things I did want to say, which is, Donna's just told us we're here to talk about linked data, and this is not. This is the point that I wanted to make about the fact that actually digital cultural heritage is not just about having images, having artifacts that can be linked. It's really about what are we able to do with those. And depending on the environment that we present those, we need to present them in a different way. We need to be able to have the richness of the heritage of the artifact in the digital environment. And I think that's a real challenge for us. And these are just a few examples of other ways in which the digital cultural heritage community are preserving, in this case you no doubt saw the headlines just a couple of weeks ago about the 3D reconstructions of and the preservation campaign that Harvard and Oxford has set upon unfortunately as these sites are being destroyed. The Cultures of Knowledge Network of Republic of Letters, if you are not familiar with that, a fantastic, absolutely fantastic resource. Again, a collaboration, an international collaboration, some of whom are at the Bodleian, helping us understand how did ideas propagate and using the letters and artifacts to be able to do that. Now, to be able to do that needs a richness in the artifact itself. And it's not just about having as it were, in the Ashmolean, the digitized artifacts with a little metadata there to enable us to do that. I think as we're thinking about this too, one of the points that was made yesterday is that this is not just about looking back at cultural collections. It's really about the fact that we're living now, and that's part of what digital cultural heritage is. And I do wonder, as we begin to think about what that means to us, we need to be thinking about what it means in the future. Will our archaeologists of the future actually be trying to piece together this digital mass of stuff to try to find what used to be a proper dig of physical artifacts? Are we putting ourselves in a situation that we are preserving and curating effectively? So very quickly, the challenges that we face excuse me, here in Oxford around our digital collections excuse me, is first of all, a lot of them are not digitized. So that is makes it very challenging. The second is that, excuse me, we to date have not had a consistency about how we approach digital collections, how they are presented, what standards are used. We are using in each of the museums different systems. We're not able, they're very siloed. And so I think that's where we meet the agenda of linked data. And one of the challenges is how do we and leverage the work that's already going on in the university with linked data in different forms. Alex has put together various open data, linked data. Dave's going to talk about more. I think one of the challenges we have is how do we bring what is a vast amount of really rich content into that linked data world. And hopefully that will result in actually many opportunities for us to meet the earlier desires for our collections.